2016, we saw a respiratory consultant in the outpatients department, and basically we're told there that my wife had lung cancer, inoperable lung cancer, with bony mets, so it's metastasised into the chest bone. We were told on the day that it was untreatable, there wasn't any cure, and it would be conservative and palliative treatment. So my wife started on chemo and was on bi-weekly chemotherapy. The unit, absolutely brilliant in there. Staff made everyone feel very welcome, and actually there was a very, very positive attitude in the unit, which is quite remarkable for a unit that has a lot of probably sad stories sat around it. So the unit was very, very positive. I think one of the difficult parts, if I go back, was the day we were told. I can vividly remember being asked to sit in the waiting room while they organised the bronchoscopy. And I sat there and I thought about this afterwards. We sat in the middle of a busy outpatient department with patients walking around, nurses, doctors, healthcare walking around, hustle and bustle. We've both just had life-changing news told to us. We're both in tears, both holding each other, trying to console each other, and the world is walking around us. You just told someone you're going to die, but do you mind going back out into that really busy waiting area like you're waiting for a bus? So went into the hospice, was in the hospice for 2 weeks, and the hospice, wow, it's like an oasis. The first, within 5 minutes of being there, the syringe driver was taken down and the girls were taking her into the big bath to have a nice soak in the bath, have her hair washed and things like that, and that was brilliant. It was exactly a week before Christmas last year. We went down to the CT unit. My wife had a head CT, and we came back, sat in the consulting room, and the consultant basically came in and said, "I'm afraid it spread to the brain, and the prognosis will be weeks rather than anything else." We were told that, and my wife decided no more treatment. She didn't want any more treatment. Pain relief was in place. She had other medication in place to help her symptoms. Contact with the hospital really stopped that day. She never came back into the hospital that day after, and the community then took over. And I think it was the last 2 days in January, she really, really deteriorated. And it was the last day in January, it was probably about 6 in the evening. The GP, I called the GP straight up. The GP came up and he changed the medication in the syringe driver. And we knew basically that time had started. Her last hours of her life was happening. But as a discussion, I didn't want her to die of a seizure. So the medication was changing. She was very, very settled. And she made it through to the next morning quite comfortably. Probably the most comfortable I've seen her in about 10 months. And then about 5 o'clock on the 1st of February, I was sat on my own with her, and we just had some music on the iPod, just sat there. And actually it's really ironic if you think back of the beautiful days in your life, look about the days your child's born, the day you get married and stuff like that. But it was that day in my life where we just felt complete, and we were just sat on our bed, just listening to the music we had listened to for 20 odd years, and together. And I heard a breathing change, and I thought, okay, this is going to happen soon. So I went in and got my son and my sister and my daughter, and they all came in. I sat next to her, and the kids came up and kissed their mum, and my son then just kissed her and said, "I love you, mum." And with that, she passed away. If someone's death could be as nice as it could be, we were able to achieve that with my wife. able to give a nice, peaceful death. And I've said this time and time again to staff, junior nurses. Our job is, as nurses, is as important as midwives. Midwives bring life into the world. If we can help someone leave this planet peacefully, feeling loved, feeling warmed, we've succeeded. So my wife was admitted through ED twice with sepsis. So while you're on chemo, you're given a handout for the chemo line, which is brilliant because on the oncology ward there's a member of staff who carries the mobile phone around with them 24 hours a day. Any of these symptoms, high temperature, you ring the line. So we'd ring the line and advice would be, come in. You're medically expected. So, for a layman, if you're told you're medically expected, as a layman you assume you turn up to reception at ED, someone knows you're coming. No, you don't. The registrar, the on-take registrar will see that and your name on a list, but they won't know you're coming. You're coming in poorly, you're coming in scared, you're coming in anxious, your family members are feeling exactly the same way, and no one knows you're coming. And I just think, is there communication between the oncology ward and the emergency department? We've got a patient coming in, can you just be aware, this is the person's name. Hello Mrs So-and-so, yes we know you're here, I'm afraid you will have to wait like everyone else, but we do know you're here. And we'll get you processed as quickly as we can. I think a simple thing like that then gives confidence. Also, on a practical side, so my wife had a PICC line, and then we advanced onto a portacath. Two very efficient vascular accesses. But within the hospital, there is limited people who can access these ports. The reason you have them is because if they're not cannulated and staff to have bloods taken numerous times, one, that's uncomfortable, and two, there's a risk of you can get infections. You walk into ED and you're query septic, you need blood cultures. No one can access the portacath. I think our palliative patients who are coming in for treatment won't be here next year, won't be here in 6 months' time. There needs to be a gold standard. It really does. And I think, one, to know they're coming, if they're medically expected, and two, to have a member of staff who can access the ports they've got, which are being put there to make their patient journey easier for them. It's not too much to ask. I think the only other thing, going back to what I said right at the beginning, was about being sat in outpatients. I think many, many years ago, when I first started as a nurse, we had little family rooms, private rooms. I don't think they exist around hospitals much these days. You only need a small room and 2 chairs. While we're waiting for you to go for your procedure, do you want to sit in here quietly? Can we get you a glass of water? Can we get you a cup of tea? These aren't routine things you're being told. What you're basically being told is you're going to die, and that will be the end of your life. You can't give anyone else any worse news. Again, I think these are simple, simple wins, which with the hustle and bustle, the pressures, sometimes have got forgotten. And it also always came back to how much notice have I taken of the person sitting at the end of the bed. The main focus has to be the patient. That's what we're there for. But holistically, there's a family and there's someone sat there watching their life unravel in front of them. They are watching that person they love, they've had children with, they've grown up with, they've spent God knows how many years with, basically die in front of them. I'm fortunate to have knowledge, to have resource, to have colleagues and to have friends in this field. And I still got to breaking point. I still got to that time when I was on my knees, not knowing where to turn, not knowing which way to look up. families in hospital sitting there with relatives who are passing away. We've got to get to that stage back in the NHS where actually someone who's palliative has the side room and their families have time to sit with them and they have time to benefit from that experience and benefit those last hours of someone's life. I know things are stretched, things are pressured, but people are dying. This is someone's end of their life. And we'll never get those chances again. And actually, the impact nurses, doctors, healthcares have on families in that situation can affect their journey afterwards so massively. It really can. But that can be positive or negative. And simple things can make an awful lot of difference. 99% of our care my wife and I got, and my family got, was outstanding, was absolutely outstanding. But I just think when it comes to the care of dying, people who are dying, it's got to be gold standard. And again, we've only got one chance to get this right with people.